hey, hi. Welcome back to the Community Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Johnson Lynch. We're here at Big Condo Online. And please like and subscribe because it helps us when we're getting our videos out there, because we really endeavor to bring you really interesting conversations with people that I feel that you will enjoy hearing from as I enjoy hearing from. So one of those people is with me here today, a legend in the name and in business. You know, he won't see himself that way, but I'm pretty sure once I tell you who he is, you'll say, I know him, and it's Kevin Mcmanus. How you doing, Kevin?
Good. That's a very, very nice intro.
Well, it is because, Kevin, people probably, I remember seeing you over the years. I've been here 20 years, so it's kind of like, you've been having your fingers into different things. You were curating at the British Music Experience, right? Which I want to talk about because you helped us out there with a project we're working on. But also, you've moved from that to now being the head of UNESCO.
Yeah,
UNESCO head of music.
Yeah, head of UNESCO City of Music is the title, but it just means I'm involved in all things music in the city council.
Now, can you tell us what UNESCO means, maybe?
Yeah, so
because it's probably one of those acronyms, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's United Nations. It's essentially a group of countries that its aim is to share learning and cities and countries to share things. Their priorities generally at the moment are around clean living and ecology and moving towards a green agenda. Sustainability is a key thing for them. But UNESCO also, it's a huge international body, it also looks after their, there's UNESCO World Heritage sites, so things like the pyramids and all that, and Liverpool City's waterfront is a UNESCO heritage site as well. So it's a massive international organisation that brings countries and cities together and tries to protect certain things and promote certain values. And then I think it's 10, 15 years ago, they came up with the idea of a creative cities network. So cities could apply to be part of UNESCO Creative Cities, which doesn't just include music, but it includes literature, includes digital media, and there's 5 or 6 different types of creative forms that they recognise. And so Liverpool became a UNESCO City of Music in 2015.
Wow, that was huge because I just thought you were in charge of music.
So I am just do the music stuff, but UNESCO. So
is it kind of like the Commonwealth, where you're attached to many different countries and organizations with the same agenda, like as you said, around green?
It is, and so the Creative Cities network that we're part of. Yeah, so I work most closely with other UNESCO music cities, which there's a lot in Europe. There's a few in Africa, Asia, and stuff. So trying to grow the network to include non-European countries. And the whole point is to collaborate, share information, share good practice, learn from each other. And it's again a bit like you were talking about. You just get to meet like-minded people. So there's opportunities there.
So this must be a new transition for you, a new position. Is it did it start in the midst of the pandemic or right before it?
Yeah, God, this role is probably in it for a year before the pandemic struck, really. So just probably it's altered a lot over the last year. My main role over the last year has been really mainly dealing with music businesses and trying to help them, signpost them to funds and help them with funding bids. Help them with questions that they have around, council stuff and just, so it's been a tough year for everyone involved in the music industry. So it's been my focus for the last 12 months, really.
Yeah, because, Culture Liverpool, working with City Council, they've been working on this thing now because a lot of creatives have been kind of like, on the dime, of this past year and everything. And so basically the city wants to help them get back into focus, isn't it? It's like, I think they were trying to call it the comeback, because, we're now looking like, you must be one of the many people that are enjoying experiences like what happened at Circus, you know, and everything else like that. So people are like they're coming to life again. I mean, would that be your feeling that you're seeing that we're coming back?
Yeah,
the performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of different points there. I think it's vital for the city. You know, we're a city that's made up of, you know, the visitor economy is really important, music industry is really important, and culture is, you know, a lot of the economic regeneration of the city is being built around culture, and visitors come to the city because of our culture. So it's absolutely vital to us, more than, you know, probably most other cities, that we get things back on track quickly. But I also, you know, from dealing with music businesses every day, it's absolutely vital for their well-being, for their you know, for their survival, for mental health, for economy, for everything that they, you know, the music industry was amongst the first to be hit. You know, venues closed down largely just a few weeks before, you know, before the official close down, because, you know, artists weren't travelling, audiences weren't turning up because they were all worried about COVID, and you know, it's
performances.
Yeah, and it's you know, for businesses went from earning, you know, not many music businesses make massive profits. You know, there's some, but you know, people make a decent living from it. They stay in it because they're passionate. For the last 12 months, it's been tough because of, you know, you haven't been able to do anything, and we all think about, you know, the performers, we think about the people who work in the venues, but actually beyond that, as you know, there's everyone who does the sounds, the lights, you know, the production, the trucking, you know, the tour buses, the catering. Everyone who's involved in the music industry has basically been on a complete stop for 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, because pretty much, you know, like, because we're podcasting and a lot of people are doing that. There's also Zoom. You know, people have been doing that for like 6 months to a year, and it's like now people actually want to touch someone, you know, and get out there. Yeah. I mean, so how is UNESCO as a source of support in that way, as far as like you know, getting people, you know, signposting really for events and everything else like that to take place? Because let's move out of the tunnel and into the light, right? So events are coming this summer, aren't they?
Everything's dependent on government regulations, because as much as you'd like to do things, if you're not allowed. So I think there's a few sort of relevant bits to it. So there's whatever the government allows nationally. There's whatever public health locally allow, but as I say, you know, there's a real recognition about how important music and how important events are to the city. So there's a willingness to do it within the legal constraints. I think for me the important bit is it's really vital for the sector that we get back to full capacity shows as soon as possible, because for every reason, you know, if you're Chase, the singer, you want to play in a 500 capacity club to 50 people, because that's all that's allowed. And for the club, it doesn't work, because, you know, it doesn't work for the promoters, it doesn't work for the venue, it doesn't work for anyone. So we need to get back to as close to capacity as soon as possible, so that everyone can get back to work really. And, you know, as you say, music can be that bit where, you know, we're all standing next to each other in a venue, or close up watching someone perform, or in a club.
Yeah. Well, you know, as I was saying, like, we just recently reacquainted each other because been working on a project with Blackfest, the Origins of House, and got to, you know, interview you there a little bit, or someone interviewed you. But, you know, what I thought was interesting is that with your history, right, you know, I want to go a little bit into the origin of Mcmanus, right? Your history, you was telling us there that you were involved in, you were radio DJ, weren't you, at one point?
Not radio, no. I mean, I did a tiny bit of DJing for fun. I mean, I was mainly a music journalist, and then that sort of opened up other bits, and I did a bit. I used to love doing a little bit of DJing, but I was never very good. I wouldn't think it's just great, isn't it, DJing?
What about pirate radio? Was you doing any of that?
No, I mean, I worked with got the old TCR days with you know, there was there was really good people there and stuff. But no, I mean, it's an area of, I'm fascinated by all that stuff, and I've been lucky enough to talk to people, interviewed like Trevor Nelson about his early days on pirate radio and stuff. So love all that, but it's I'm probably much more comfortable with with a typewriter, or in the old days, or my laptop these days, writing about something.
So I mean, what kind of music for you personally was kind of like a favorite type of music that you enjoyed?
When I was 16, 15, probably punk came along, and that's so everything stemmed from that really. I mean, I liked a few things before that, but once punk came along, all that was binned really. And I was lucky enough.
Was you able to go to Manchester for that, or
no? In Liverpool, we had this great little club called Eric's on Matthew Street, and Roger Hill and Pete Forwell, the two people who ran that, did this brilliant thing of doing Saturday matinees. So the bands who were playing Saturday night, I did an afternoon show. So So I was like fairly old looking teenager, so I was this high when I was about 12, so it's like and I had the first to have a beard and stuff, so like I could get into the nighttime stuff, but like I was lived in Bootle, and like in those days if you had a kid and money, taxis were expensive, last buses were like 11:30. So it was just easier to get to matinees of a Saturday when you could. So I saw all the great bands there. So The Clash, Specials, Joy Division, Susie and the Banshees, Buzzcocks, Echo and the Bunnymen, Teardrop, or big and loads of local stuff as well as big bands. So that's kind of where I just became obsessed by music, and it was and that, like, Eric's was a big part. Seeing those bands live there was amazing.
Well, like I had did a show early on, like called The Crate Seller, where I found it fascinating how many vinyl collectors there were. Yeah. I mean, because obviously, if you're into vinyl, you know about Pro Records and 3-Beat Records and all of that. And I'm just curious, like, are you one of those guys that have vinyl like in your closet or your attic or something like that?
I am, much to my wife's horror, really. At
least it's not comic books, bro.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, she calls it stuff, and I think it's really valuable stuff. So a load of the stuff that's in there from so I was, God, when was that? So like mid-70s. So a load of that stuff was bought in Probe. Which was an experience going into Probe. And dealing with those people, but the mad people behind the counter there. But so tiny little labels and bands. Some of where I remember I bought the first single by The Cure there on a tiny little label called Small Wonder Records. Right. That was then signed up by a major. But that's they went on to be huge, didn't they? And there's loads of those things where some of those artists you never heard of again, but they made me happy for that month and stuff. But I think I was very excited. Was it last week when I pre-ordered the new Coral album on it's a double vinyl red vinyl album.
What, just last week?
Last week, I think that one.
Oh my God! That's how much trouble you getting for that?
That's my latest one. But I've got all sorts of stuff from when I was like 14, 15, right through until now, and including dance music stuff from the early house days, and because I wrote a lot about dance music later on for different magazines as well. So I've got all sorts of weird and wonderful records in the house.
So, I mean, when did you start writing then? I mean, so you're into the music and all of that kind of stuff. So you remember that Cameron Crowe movie, Almost Famous?
You know what? I watched it again recently because it's
Was that you, though?
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, I started writing for NME when I was just 18. So I was quite young and naive, and then and a bit overawed by it all, I think. And then got really serious about it at probably mid-20s when there was a load of Liverpool stuff going on with the likes of The Farm and the Lars and dance music taking off. And I wrote for lots of different magazines then, NME, Mix Mag, ID, The Face and stuff. So it was, and then that was proper. That was a bit more like the Cameron Crowe stuff. I was properly involved in that rock and roll world then. Did
you ever go on tour or anything like that?
tours I did mainly with mates, really, like not mainly like work related, just because it was great to be out.
Oh, so just as a fan, but you never like covered anybody out there?
I did loads of stuff, did loads of stuff in, did occasional things abroad. I remember a great weekend in Paris with which was 3 nights of Liverpool bands, which I covered for NME.
Wow.
Did stuff, so the occasional, jaunt elsewhere, loads of stuff in London around, but I mean, from those days, just a band I worked with. It was still me mates, a band called the Tambourines, and just going in a little van with them to gigs in London, Manchester, Bath, Leeds.
Imagine if you were in that van with Winterbottom when he took the Beatles to Hamburg. It's just imagine.
But it's just hanging out with people I like hanging out with. Sound checks are a bit boring, aren't they? But the actual gigs and just hanging out with your mates. There's they were a great live band, and I loved all that. And same with the Farm. I knew the Farm from very early days. Did occasional stuff with them, and it's nice when you're working with people who you have a lot of fun with.
Did you ever see the Beatles before they went to Hamburg? I mean, because they used to play down in the cavern.
I'm not that old.
Okay. The 60s. Okay.
The only Beatle I've ever saw is McCartney do a few. Actually, Ringo Starr, didn't he? Did the Catholic Culture Year.
Yeah.
George Harrison's probably my favourite, and sadly I never got to see him or meet him. Although one of my mates from the band did. He stopped outside his shop and. He ran out to meet George, which, obviously I love to have met George Harrison.
Well, it's just that, the city kind of like lives and dies on the Beatles, don't they? Or the legend of the Beatles. And like, it's funny when you talk to old artists and like they could remember those times like where they used to hang out down at the White House on Duke Street, you know what I mean? One that Banksy drew the big cat on. And, there was like that period of time when they met the Chants, on Upper Parliament Street before the Chants split off to become the real thing, and I mean, so, I did, okay. I mean, it's just that I heard people, I just, you might have been around or no.
No, I loved it. I mean, I got to know about the Chants later on, and, lucky enough I interviewed Chris Amu. Last summer, whenever it's all mixed up now, but we showed the Real Thing film at the British Music Experience, and
that's right, you were saying that.
Got a chance to meet Chris, and their stories are brilliant. One, that documentary that the BBC showed about them was really good. And one of I think I got to know the Chants because I played footy with one of the members. Alan Harding was used to play football with me just down the road from here, actually, just in pits. So I think I used to talk to Alan about some of the Chants stuff. Yeah, a good man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, see, that's what I was just trying to say. It's like, when you have artists like that, their history is kind of like lost amongst the masses, isn't it? I mean, because the academics or, all these people, I remember interviewing Sugar Dean once, and he was telling me how, I remember when Reggie Dwight used to get my coffee.
No, it is.
And Reggie Dwight turned out to be Elton John.
It's a lot of that. So we did as Culture Liverpool last November-ish. We did On Records, which was led by Yao Wusu, and that was about celebrating Liverpool's black music, current stuff as well, but also looking at the history and the Chants and other black music, British and Black American music had a massive influence on the Beatles, and it's often not talked about. So and things like the importance of the Real Thing's often forgotten about. I mean, they were the first black British band, on top of the pops. Really, they were hugely important to people. It's like I think it's in that documentary. But when I met Trevor Nelson, I asked him about it, and he was like. I didn't know they had black people in Liverpool.
Oh my God, he did not say that to you.
He did. It's like, there's a bit of that there's that needs that history of the importance of Liverpool black music and the history of it needs to be celebrated and brought out, and it's one of the things that the music board are looking at, and how we can do more of that. But on records, I think a lot of that content's still out there, so people should try and have a look for it. You know, there's podcasts and interviews with people, and some great performance by The Real Thing and some current artists as well.
No, definitely. And of course, also, I is involved in the Lymph Academy and all that other kind of stuff and everything like that. So big up to Yao and stuff, you know. So I mean, like, you know, so bringing it like full circle, you know, it's kind of like as I was saying, what do you think now that we're coming out of the pandemic? What do you think some of the aims of the UNESCO that your role is going to be looking into, or what are you looking for?
I think the immediate thing, because the plan before the pandemic struck really was looking at how we could support the growth of the music sector in Liverpool. I think, you know, that's kind of not on hold, but it's more realistically, it's about supporting the businesses and the whole sector to stabilise and then be in a position to move forward again when, you know, in hopefully sooner rather than later. But there's been it has been a really tough year. But there's priorities around talent development. You know, things like the Lymph Academy that you've mentioned, but other people are doing great work as well. Skills development and, you know, making people aware of the careers that there are in the music industry. You know, some of this type of stuff that you're doing here, it's you know, you don't have to be a singer or a guitarist. There's lots of other things you can do in the music industry, and we want to promote that, and we want to make sure it's accessible to everyone. You know, not just people in certain neighbourhoods or people who, you know, are from, you know, wealthy backgrounds or whatever. It's got to be inclusive. You know, I'm from a poor working class background just down the road in Bootle, and it's, you know, I've just been fortunate in the way I've been able to have a career that's, you know, just you know, fortune and, you know, circumstances, but it's because of where you're from or the colour of your skin shouldn't determine the type of career you can have and whether you have that opportunity. So again, you know, the stuff that from what I know, what you do here, that's exactly, you know, it needs to be that, you know, it needs to be out and giving everybody opportunity.
Well, no, definitely. I mean, you know, and thanks for that. I mean, because we're working with City of Liverpool College right now, and we're starting the traineeship program for the summer and everything. So we do media related courses here, because we do as an academy, you know. So we have music, as you saw over there, film, radio, and all of that. So thank you for allowing me to say that without actually feeling like I'm just plugging myself. I never like to plug myself, but but I just think that it's amazing, you know, for people to hear that there are things out there, and obviously you're more than the brand, you know. As a human being, I wanted to get inside Kevin Mcmanus, you know, kind of like, you know, Michael Rosenberg inside of you. Yeah, love that show.
but I think, I mean, seriously, the work that people like yourselves do in, you know, based in the community is really important, because that's, you know, it gives opportunities to people who may not think those opportunities are for them, or just, you know, and that's really vital.
No. Thank you very much. And, you know, so basically I just want to like, thank you for coming in and having this conversation with me, Kev. You know, I mean, I think people probably have seen that you've been at the BME, and now that you made this move over and everything with this new role and stuff, and just being able to kind of like share with us what that role entails and everything, because it's important, you know, because it's also part of Culture Liverpool. It's you know, the capital culture. It's all of these different things that are going on that I think we just see the names and we never meet the people. You know, and you're kind of like one of the people. Not like you can follow Kevin and, like, you know, hunt him, because I tried that. It doesn't work. You know, but you can see that he's a really genuine, nice guy, and I could tell you, I've seen you at many different events, you know, and you represent, you know, not just your city, you know, but like your heart and what you do for people. So thank you very much for joining me here, Kevin.
No, thank you. It's been fun.
So this has been Kevin Mcmanus. He's the man in the the city council. And I'm Chase Johnson Lynch and everything. You've been watching the community podcast here. Like I said, it's just a simple conversation, and I just thought that you would like to hear more about Kevin as I do. So, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. That call to action, ring the bell. Ring the bell. That means subscribe. It's the new thing, Kevin. I don't know what it is. It's like my man puts a bell on the thing and stuff. And I want to thank our young intern over here, Jess on the decks and everything. Yes, that's right. We get them as young as we can, Kevin. All right. So for me, I'm Chase Johnson Lynch. You've been watching Community Podcast, and we're out of here.